You know, folks, I gotta tell you something right now. I don't own many in my collection at all. I never really had a lot when I was in school when it comes to owning books, because when I was a young kid, I was never really big into reading that much, except for occasional children's storybook, which we will get to. But in terms of collecting them, I never wanted to own them. I liked going to the library, picking out a book, one or two, maybe three if I felt like it, and just read them, enjoy them, and then take them back to the library. Most of the time when I picked out a book, there was just a lot of different things. Oh, obviously, I stayed in the children's section because, well, as a young kid going to the library, that's where you mostly go. I mean, most people go to, the Rolodex to go through whatever different genres out there. I mean, as an adult now, I'll go through the Rolodex and I'll see all sorts of genres that I like reading. Before I even discuss the children's books, I might as well say, when it comes to reading, I do like reading as an adult. I enjoy going through, picking out a good book, opening the first page, at least seeing what the whole, the summary of what the story is going to be all about, what the characters are, who was it written by, who was it published by, reading the little in-depth detail, shit like that. Because, folks, I know people love watching movies. I love a good film. I got a whole library of shit back there. I got Blu-rays there, VHS. I got a lot of stuff. But when it comes to something that doesn't involve watching a flick on a screen, I like to open up a book, flip through the pages, and let the words go through my mind and let the imagination go wild. Because that's the beauty I love about reading, is that you, with the whole in-depth description, you get an idea of who the characters are, what their background is, their flaws, their strengths, their weaknesses, what the plot's going to be about, who you're going to be introduced to later on, what the scenery is, if it's a nature aspect, if it's a city, if it's a fairy tale, if it's a horror, mystery, which are two of my favorite genres I love reading, horror and mystery. If it's an action, if it's a thrill, suspense, whatever the case may be, when you open up a book and either of you see either illustrations of beautiful pictures giving you an idea of what it is that's going on within the scene, or if you are reading a book that just has the text, maybe one little picture to give you a little flash idea, within that case, I love the idea of having imagination. And honestly, folks, I'm going to give you this as a very strong advice, a little life lesson for me. Childhood is important to hold on to, but at the same time, never let your imagination go out. Because the thing is that if you have an imagination about whatever the case may be, never let it go. Whether it's something that happens in a dream or it's just something that you are thinking of while just sitting there, whatever the case may be, never let your imagination run out, because you can think of a lot of different things, whether it's a character, if it's an idea, whatever. You can get a whole lot within your imagination. I think that, especially within your own mentality from childhood, it's something to really hold on to and carry. So never let that go away. But back to the whole subject of books, and yes, books are made for throwing at people. Why? Because it's the only way you can knock knowledge into somebody's mind. So if you can't make them force them to read it, just smack them in the fucking head with the book, and then you'll knock some knowledge and strength in them. Because I think a lot of people need to learn how to fucking read by just smacking them across the head. Take the Bible and boom, you'll be all set. And this goddamn chair is so fucking squeaky right now. This chair is so fucking goddamn squeaky. I need to know, one of these days, I'm going to get a new brand new chair. I'm going to get a brand new chair, and it's not going to squeak at all. It's not going to do any nonsense. It's not going to go down. It's not going to do any bullshit at all, because this chair, one of these days, when I get the new one, this chair is going to be broken. My favorite book to read. We shall get to those right now, little peewee. So, ladies and gentlemen, the whole topic I want to talk about within the title of this video is childhood stories, child book theater plays. That is the plan that I want to talk about, is child books theater plays. Because one day I was on a call, I was talking to some people, obviously the common folks, and within whatever's going on out there. And I was just sitting, and I was watching the BFG, the 2015 movie, the BFG, great film. I was just watching it, and I was just starting to get some mentality, some flashbacks, some memoirs of some childhood days from all those years ago when I was in school, the elementary days, from kindergarten up into 5th grade, just all those years. We would be reading a book. We'd be sitting there reading a particular book. Obviously, it would be either an audio tape or we'd be taking turns reading a book. The teacher will pick on whomever to read a particular paragraph, and it'll go to another person. Why? Because it was a helpful way to benefit and to help benefit our reading level and learn how to pronounce certain words, whether it was a big word or a common word. And plus, it was a proper way to correct our grammar too. But obviously, in this day and age, people don't know how to correct their grammar at all. They like to spell the word Y with a letter instead of spell Y-O-U, and use R, just a letter R, for R-A-U-R-A-R-E. I can't even fucking spell now, god damn it. But most of these days, people don't know how to use proper grammar. They get the theirs wrong. They get the yours wrong. They get the ifs, ands, buts, punctuations wrong. Don't know when to fucking capitalize, when to not capitalize. They get all this shit wrong. This is stuff we learned when we were all in school, but no! Everybody wants to fucking forget! Grammar is important! I'm sorry. I had a little bit of a tantrum there. Next time, I'll be getting myself a tennis racket and whacking people across the head if they ever pull that shit. I hate incorrect grammar. You are, there, and there. T-H-E-I-R, T-H-E-R-E, and T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E. All different. They, them, different. Male, female, genitals. I don't fucking know what I'm even saying. I'm getting way too off topic. You see what you people did? Y'all got me all upset right now. God damn it. And yes, I am telling you people that you all got me upset. See what you did? I read the chat and you folks got me all upset. Well, let's just get right back in the chase. Let me take a little sip of my Sprite here, and then we will get back on track. You know, I plan on coming on this stream and just staying calm and collected, but no, I got upset, spilled my fucking Sprite all over my favorite shirt, and this is what fucking happens. Let's just get right back on track. But back in the elementary days, when I was going through whatever the books that we were reading, the teacher gave us, they called on us, you know, improve our reading level. Some of us read fast, some of us read a little slow. And it was honestly a learning process, and it was natural because when we all went to school, did English literature or read a particular book, whether it was a picture book or a regular story, we all had to improve not only our way of reading, but also writing as well. And I honestly think that is an extremely important detail. Not just honestly if you were going to make a career out of it, but it's also a proper way in life in general, because if you are going to write or become a journalist or do a newspaper editor or just write in general, like poems or your own book or speaking to people, I think it's a necessary trait to carry on and keep those lessons, the grammar, the punctuations, the reading level, proper words, whether it's a big word or a small word or whatever the case may be. I think it's important to have stuff like that. And honestly, when it came to these particular books that I'm going to give you all right now, of all sorts of different genres, whether it was a fairy tale, a short story, a novel in general, mainstream, underlooked, whatever the case may be, there was a lot of great stories out there. And I got 2 books right here that I'm going to show you all right now that I have. And one of my goals is to collect my childhood books once again and just, have a whole library and just reflect those memories once again. So for this particular instance, folks, the 2 books that I have that I want to show you all, they are 2 beloved favorites of mine, and this is where I'm going to answer a question. If you give a mouse a cookie, This is one of the books that I read when I was a young kid, and when I was just going through looking, when I went out of my way to find this book, and literally I was at Target, I saw this book on display, and I spent over $17 fucking on it. Wasn't even on sale. I could have got it off of eBay or Amazon for a much cheaper price, for about $3-5, but no. I was stupid enough to spend $17 on a little short story like this, but I couldn't help it because I wanted it, and it was a Christmas gift for myself. But yeah, this is what I mean, folks. You get like a little description on the side there, and it tells you exactly a little summary of what's going to be happening in the book. It tells you who was written by, who was published, and once you open the book, gives you a whole beautiful picture of written, illustrated, published, and etc., etc. And it gives you the whole entire illustrations alone. Simple reading. The pictures speak for itself. Absolute beautiful drawings. Colorful, vivid, humorous. That's the beauty I love about children's books. Look at that little bastard's face. Looks like you just saw a big pair of titties that had no milk in them, unfortunately. And ironically enough, on the page beforehand, let me show you this. The little bastard was drinking milk right there after he ate a goddamn cookie. So, the book itself, after you gave a mouse a cookie, he started doing house chores around the little boy's place for free. Then he started painting a picture of his family, jumped out of his clothes, took a nap, then he wanted a cookie again. But yeah, it's a humorous little book. The little mouse goes around this kid's house, does chores for free after he was giving him a fucking cookie and glass of milk in there. That sums up the story of If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. But I know there was a whole particular series of these books. I can't remember what the other ones were. This is the only one that stood out to me as the most memorable one and well-loved. But ladies and gentlemen, folks, if I had to say a book other than this one that I also do love, and this was actually given to me as a gift, this is actually my favorite Christmas story of all time. It's not only in terms of literature, but also in movies as well. Before the movie came out, this was a book that I read a lot when I was a young boy, and holy shit. If you have that particular cold cut medal, that particular little medal that's on any book at all, you knew that it was published for the right reason. It became beloved by everybody, and it became a natural classic in its own right. Because I'd say this all the time if I'm talking about a movie or doing a live stream. Classics become classics as time progressed naturally and become cherished by everybody. But yes, this is a Christmas book that I want to show you all. And like I said, this was a gift. And he knows who he is who gave it to me, the Polar Express. This was obviously a brand new copy that was given to me. But folks, when I saw this book, just looking at the cover, opening it back up, seeing that first page of the young boy getting out on his bed, talking about from his perspective of how he feels about Christmas, before Christmas Day happening, his thoughts, his presents he wants, then all of a sudden you get that big picture of the Polar Express right there. Just that iconic image alone really set out exactly. And just going through the whole entire book alone, looking at the pictures, obviously the readings on the side, but goddamn, the whole purpose about the book is that even if you don't read the words, just looking at the pictures of everything, you really get the whole idea of what's going on. And I'm telling you, if I had to say some of the greatest drawings I've seen in any picture book, I would honestly have to rate the Polar Express up there as one with some absolute beautiful colors. Look at that. The mountain range, the train going up, the details of the tunnel, the snow coming down, going into the North Pole in general. God damn. Literally, when I opened it up and I saw this book, I wouldn't say I got emotional. It's just I had a Cheshire grin on my face because I was just reliving as a young kid again, looking through this book and just reading the story, looking at the pictures. damn, it just brings back a lot of memories. That the whole point of the story with the Polar Express is that cherish Christmas. Never lose sight of the memory. Never stop believing in Santa Claus. Never stop believing in the spirit of Christmas in general. Yeah, Cheshire Cat. That's a fucking picture right there. But the idea is never stop believing in Christmas, never stop believing in yourself, never stop believing in the spirit of the holidays, never just stop in general. This book honestly helps you grow confidence if you look at it that way. And it says right here that there is a audio reading by Liam Neeson. I might actually have to go back sometime later on and find the audio of Liam Neeson reading this. Never thought in my life I'd hear the actor Liam Neeson reading a children's book. But yeah, folks, this right here are two stories that I possess in my collection. I do got some Dr. Seuss books over there. You folks know which ones I have. I have The Walking in my pocket. I got The Cat in the Hat. I got, I think it's One Fish, Two Fish. I can't remember what the other one was. But obviously got The Cat in the Hat, the Bofas on the Sofas book. I got some other stuff as well that's Dr. Seuss related. But I plan on growing that stash some more. But just showing two prime examples of books like these, showcases, two things that were a big part of my childhood when it came to reading. But folks, other than these, there's a lot of books that I absolutely fascinated. As for that, I already mentioned The Cat in the Hat, but there was other books, and I hope you folks along know these particular stories that I am going to name. The Very Hungry Caterpillar, The Giving Tree, James and the Giant Peach, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Brown Bear, What Do You See? If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, well, I just said that in the Polar Express. But Harold and the Purple Crayon, The Velveteen Rabbit, Where the Wild Things Are. Books like that, for example, such well-known titles that everybody and their brother, mother, sister, whomever, the whole family has picked up and read at some point. The series of Curious George, those books were a lot of fun to read. I always liked those types of books, those children's books in general, where it's like a whole series, a whole franchise that has a different variety theme of, well, whatever shenanigans are going on. And the Curious George books are definitely one. The Dr. Seuss ones, the Peanuts comics. There's always been a beloved story with the original comics. Garfield, Dennis the Menace, Popeye, just to name some big examples of some well-known comics. Casper the Friendly Ghost, the Archies, stuff like that, where you had a cast of characters that had an ongoing franchise, and each one had a different shenanigan story. Yes, Berenstain Bears, Winnie the Pooh. I fucking love Pooh Bear. I absolutely love Pooh Bear. He is a badass. I love Pooh Bear. I'm going to highlight this because I agree with this wholeheartedly with these books. The Rainbow Fish is a great one. I was never really big on Clifford, but those are classics that were loved. Clifford was a loved, cherished stories. Green Eggs and Ham and The Grinch, two classic Dr. Seuss books. The Smurfs, that is another one. A lot of great stuff came within the years, whether it was like a comic or a franchise of great stuff. But literally, everybody grew up with a lot of this. I just love when there's a story. It's something fresh each time with your loved characters. But when it comes to reading stories, hell, there's even fairy tales. And I'm sure some of these titles I'm going to give you folks, you all know these fairy tales. Well, if you saw it in cinema or you read the legit fairy tale itself, depends what the circumstance is. The Princess and the Pea, The Little Mermaid, The Three Little Pigs, Little Red Riding Hood, Rumpelstiltskin. That's a big fucking title, Rumpelstiltskin. The Emperor's New Clothes, Beauty and the Beast, The Ugly Duckling, The Gingerbread Man, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella. Mostly a lot of princess stuff that has, the princess, the prince, them falling in love and happily ever after the end. The Striking, Midnight Egg. And there's a goddamn TV blasting that's extremely loud right now, interrupting my lecture. But the whole concept of princess and prince getting together, kiss at midnight, happily ever after, waking the bitch up from the coffin from a true love's first kiss will set you free. Oh, my brother, testify! I said Beauty and the Beast. So yeah, see that's what I mean. Everybody mostly remembers when it comes to fairy tales, the Disney stuff, because Disney, when they took the original interpretation of how the fairy tale was written from all those years ago, around like the 1800s and the early 1900s, Disney came around, turned them into beloved films that became appreciated. Sleeping Beauty is another one. I already said Cinderella. Who was the one that Rapunzel is another one. A lot of great fairy tales. The Princess and the Frog. A lot of great stuff, folks. But the thing is that out of all these stories that I am talking about, just going back and reflecting on these great memories, just reading the books, the main topic I want to discuss to you all is the plays. Obviously, other than just film, there were plays, whether it was turned into a regular simple play, a children's play, or targeted towards adults, where it was based off a musical. Certain profanity was used in certain scenes, or certain, conduct that was done, sensitive subjects, whether it was adult themed or children themed, the case may be. A lot of well-known books were also turned into plays and or musicals, whether it was done locally on Broadway or it was done on mainstream film. But some of these plays I want to talk to you all about are some ones that I saw when I was a kid, and obviously as I got older, stuff that I was able to see. And I want to try and reflect on those memories and give you all a little discussion on these little plays that I saw and what my experience was, what I thought of the production, and how it made me feel overall, just not only viewing a theater performance, but also looking at storytelling in general and how it's being done right in front of your very eyes. But as you all know, yes, Phantom of the Opera, that is there was a horror movie that came up, but it's a great story. The Pinocchio, a lot of different variations of that. Dumbo's another good one. But when it comes to the whole entire concept of theater plays, folks, a lot of you good people don't know that I'm actually a big fan of theater. I love theaters. I love going to a play and a musical and just watching the time, the work, the time, the work, the rehearsals, the practicing, the memorization, even just like in movies, but seeing it done visually where it's not on a screen, but on a stage where you're seeing real life people putting on a performance right in front of you, the whole work building the setup, constructing the costumes, performing on a certain accent or a certain line of dialogue that is hard to pronounce but able to nail it. But when it comes to the musicals, hearing people sing, doing a different vocal range, whether it was like a soprano or a baritone or to a tenor, just working on just working on whatever range that your voice can go up to, singing that iconic song, doing a particular dance, having a certain facial reaction, making it legitimately believable, either if it's looking at a romance or if the character is directly looking at the audience in general, where you are visually looking at their feelings alone so you can get a reflection on what they are feeling. But these little plays that I saw, the first one that I was able to see was Lily's Purple Plastic Purse. This particular book, I can't remember exactly a lot of what the book was, but I did watch a play recently. At least, not the one that I remembered, but at least a little difference of it. But Lily's Plastic Purse is about this little mouse who ended up finding this magical purple purse that can make music. So once the purple purse is open, she not only pulls out the vibrator, but also is able to perform music as well. I don't know what kind of music it is. It's probably some sort of happy, peppy stuff that you hear from the jazz singer or the Broadway medley of 1932. Something like that. I can't even reflect what the music was, but it was some happy, peppy orchestral stuff. I love West Side Story. Absolutely love West Side Story. One of my favorite musicals of all time. I love Natalie Wood. She was amazing in that movie. Love West Side Story. Got the soundtrack up there. Love it. But I can't, but that's really the best way I can remember about what Lily's Plastic Purse was. But when it came to the theater experience, the actors had these big fucking ears on their heads, the noses. They looked like if Chuck E. Cheese came to life, but it wasn't rabid or terrifying. It was actually friendly, it was humorous, and a lot of great charm was put into these characters. So that is like the best I can remember about it. Also practical effects, because I know that Lily ended up having a baby mouse sister or whatever the little bastard was. I mean, the mouse was something like this guy right here, except instead of him wanting him cookies, he was just whining all the goddamn time. And Lily, you know what she was doing? She was making fun of the baby. You know, screaming in its face, you know, going wah, wah, wah all the way home. The kid just the little mouse just wanted some titty. That's all. Hell, I'd be crying. If I wanted titty too from a beautiful woman, I'd be crying too. um, oh dear. But yeah, I don't remember much about it because even though it was the first one I ever saw, I remember the book, I remember the story, at least from what I can recall, and from the way it looked. It wasn't a big set. It wasn't a huge, you know, lot of time and energy put into it. It was just a little display put together. It was mostly done with the costumes and the dialogue. That was just mostly the work that was done. And also the blend with how they were able to take that little bag or whatever it was and opening it up and hearing the music. That was very smooth on how they were able to make a whole surround sound instead of making the music from the front or having an orchestra in front. They were able to do some sort of surround sound to where it was coming from the bag. So it was a nice little blend, especially for in the early 2000s like that. That was slick. That was very smooth. But that's all I can really remember about Lily's plastic purple purse. Yeah, try and say that about 7 times fast. Lily's plastic purple purse. Yeah, you can't even say it that fucking fast at all because it's such a big title. Okay, the next one that I was able to see in terms of a play, Alexander and a Terrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. From what I remember about this story is that it's about this kid named Alexander, and one thing happens to another. He has a bad day. He goes to his mother's office, makes a mess. His brothers fucking hate him, and so on and so forth. Basically, he does a lot of different shenanigans. Shit happens. He makes mistakes, and then so on and so forth. Well, how can I say it? He just stays in bed for the rest of his life because, well, he's a cranky fuck. That's the best way I can describe Alexander and the Terrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. It's literally about a kid who's fucking cranky, wakes up, goes to a bakery, and spends about nearly 12 hours a day baking whatever, hearing people yell, hearing people yelling at him all day long, being Karens and all other nonsense. I think this Alexander can relate to this particular story. He knows what I'm talking about because he lives it, whether it was literature or real life experience. But the kid wakes up, bad mood, goes to his parents' work, has fucking shit with his brothers, and so on and so forth. That was a long time ago seeing this particular play. And this was the second one that I think I saw. But when I saw the play, again, there was like a little, just like last time, it was just a little setup, not a lot of work put into it, but with a lot more additional props were put into the play. There was obviously the actor. I didn't really care for the kid who was playing Alexander. I thought he was a little too obnoxious and honestly a little annoying. But other than that, though, the usage of the props, the whole entire display, it was basic, it was simple. A lot more things were thrown in there. And that's all I can really say. This was one of the plays that I thought was very weak as a young boy, and I didn't necessarily care much about. You know where my manners are? I don't have any. I agree with that. I do agree with that wholeheartedly. Okay, but next one, we're going to move on from the Alexander the Terrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. The next story that I'm going to talk about is something that really redeemed itself. This was more towards a well-known novel. Everybody, I'm sure folks have seen the movie when they were younger and older. This movie is about a young pig. I think you folks know exactly what I'm going to say. The story is about a young pig. This little girl has a pet pig. He obviously interacts with a bunch of barnyard animals, but there's this little spider that sees something special in this little pig. And the spider web, well, the spider ends up creating a different web each time, saying exactly what this pig represents, and that drew attraction. There was about 3 or 4 different webs that described exactly the proper terminology to really express who this particular pig is. And obviously, this story alone, if you look at much exactly Charlotte's Web, this story honestly reflects a lot towards the circle of life. It has a lot of symbolism with how you look at things. It deals with not only a sensitive subject, but it also really reflects on a lot of different things to grow confidence in yourself. It tells you exactly to grow a lot of believability, cherish the people who enter your life, friends, family, etc., especially if they call you a certain thing, whether if you're like stupendous, righteous, extravagant, extraordinary, big words like that. If they're going to literally either tattoo it or put a particular label on you or say exactly what you are, whether if they're giving you recognition, putting you over as a younger talent. If they're saying a big word about you, you stick true to that what that word is, because when you're being labeled as a particular word that people see in you and believe in you, you got to believe in it within yourself also. And that was the beauty I love about Charlotte's Web. It's about different things. I just practically gave you a fucking movie review right there without even planning it. And a book review. But Charlotte's Web, it is a wonderful tale. It is absolutely fantastic. Amazing usage of barn animals having personality. Yes, the rat was obviously the funniest character. He was the drunk. But all the characters had personality. They were loved. They were cherished. But when it came to seeing the actual play, I was fascinated by how everybody was able to turn themselves into animals. You know, the in-depth detail of using the costumes, the great detail of how the whole entire pen was set up, the little girl who was interacting with the pet pig. I think the pig's name was Wilbur. It's been so long. But the interaction of the actors, of them playing as the animals, the little girl, seeing how the whole creativity, when they were able to change it from one scene to another, from when it came to nighttime, they were able to do like a whole illusional effect where they were able to take the sets and able to showcase a beautiful display of the spider web along with the cast and characters, you know, just like in the book and movie, seeing them come out and actually just, well, reacting to it. It's fantastic. It was absolutely a beautiful scenery, great usage of the effects, great illusions, the costumes. It felt believable. It felt relating. It obviously made you tear up. Just seeing how it played like that, it was phenomenal. But when it comes to phenomenal, this is honestly to me the best experience that I had when it came to watching a particular play. That was The Big Friendly Giant, The Big Fucking Gun, the BFG. Obviously, we all know about the book. It's about a little girl who, well, the little girl ends up sleeping one day, sees this big giant who works as a dream catcher, giving people bad or good dreams. She meets up with the BFG, takes them to Giantville, tries to avoid all the giants that are trying to eat them, and so on and so forth. We all know how this story goes, and everybody remembers the movie from exactly from 2015 that Steven Spielberg has done. Fantastic fucking movie. It was beautiful to look at. It was colorful. It was vivid. It was a nice little story to look at. Great usage of the actress. I can't remember who was the one that played as the little girl, but she did phenomenal. I loved the whole entire CGI and everything that was done to make everything look realistic. Phenomenal. The Giants' own terminology, their way of speaking, the way that they were using the imagination of what Giantville looked like, and how that was done on stage. Colorful. It was lovely. Now, making the girl look little compared to the giant, basically what was done is that, how can I say it? The little girl, when she was obviously playing, well, we all know, when the BFG came out, obviously the actor was playing who was playing the BFG. They were able to make an illusion where the little girl, they were able to block her out with the lighting effect. And how it was done was that she used the puppets. They used a little marionette puppet interacting with the BFG, whether it was on the actor's hand, or if it was in a windowsill, or if she was being carried, or if she was sitting on a windowsill. That's like the best way I can try and explain, is that they were able to do an optical illusion to where they were able to color out their actions. I mean, there was scenes where she was visible at certain times, her holding the puppet, but I can't really say that was the fault. It was the way that they were interacting on stage and where they were going. But for a good portion of the time, on how they were able to make the illusion where the puppet was interacting with the adult actor, it was very nicely done. Great dialogue. I loved how the main actor who plays the BFG really did an amazing job just reenacting, given the proper pronunciation, the particular what the fuck is it? The pronunciation, the voice, I fucking can't remember what it was. The accent, the voice, the pronunciation, very fluent, perfect. And honestly, the way that they were able to do the lighting effects on the BFG play in general, just the whole lighting, they were able to do such different colors. Most of what I can remember was it was like bright, vivid, cool, calm colors like blue, purple, magenta, green, yellow, stuff like that. They were able to blend those colors extremely well, especially when it came to like dark scenes. The lighting effects for that was just extravagant. It also brought in a lot of thrills, just seeing how that was done and just making folks gasp within the audience, growing in interaction with the play in general. A lot of great stuff was done with that, and it was the best experience I had. It was fantastic. Next up, everybody knows the story of The Secret Garden. The story is about a young girl whose name is Mary. She's basically taken away into this castle, meets up with her cousin named Colin, who supposedly is sick and has some sort of illness. But the kid just couldn't walk because he was never motivated. So they go out, they see this secret garden that has a connection between both cousins because the mothers were twins. And they had a connection together of how they were able to make this secret garden grow. The connection with the one boy, also the connection with the gardener, and how he was able to take care of this particular garden, whether it was abandoned or locked up. I was fascinated with that. So, ladies and gentlemen, the play itself, obviously, a lot of people know the movies from the 60s. I think it was the 50s. Was it 50s? I can't remember what the original one was, but there was a 1990s adaptation of The Secret Garden. That was honestly my favorite particular version because it was not only brought to light, but there was a lot more different visual presentation with just showcasing the garden alone, but also the interaction between the two cousins wasn't as obnoxious. It was a little bit more calmer and understanding. Just like it was basically the same way I can say about the movies, how what I saw with the play is that It was colorful. It was very nice touch. They put a lot of work. I mean, blood, sweat, tears, and their balls into making the whole entire set look fantastic. With the whole garden, I can't even explain you folks exactly of what this garden looked like on stage. They were able to do the whole different grapevines. They were able to do different plants. Even though it was all prosthetic, it was all fake, but they made it look absolutely realistic. The flowers, they even had a little swing. They had like a little swing that played in the effect that they were able to do. It literally looked like a real legit garden when they were going into that. It was beautiful. A beautiful story, beautiful play, great book, great movie, great play. All right, I'm not going to go on too much more because not only am I running out of breath, but I am going more than I'm supposed to. I want to talk about. My chair done squeaking now? I sure as hell hope it is. Okay, but I want to talk about 3 plays that I did see that weren't. I mean, one of them was a fairy tale, the other one was based off a real life incident, and the other one was, well, based off of an original musical. The 3 ones that I saw in high school, I saw Cinderella, The Diary of Anne Frank, and Once on This Island. Now, everybody knows the story of Cinderella. Oh my God, the production with that was magnificent. For it being a small high school play, the singing, the vocalist, the illusion where they were able to take Cinderella's dress and turn it into a much more beautiful one. Everybody put a lot of work into that. The choreography, the songs, the whole production. It felt like it was a legit believable story seeing it on person like that. Uh, Once on This Island, I can what that story was. I think that story was about the circle of life. I think I think it's about the circle of life. It's about romance or something, being loved and forgotten or something. It's a forgetful play. But I saw that one, and the last one that I did see that was fantastic in high school was The Diary of Anne Frank. We all know the story about The Diary of Anne Frank. If you've seen the 1959 movie, that's exactly where the whole plot was taking place. It was taken around the time when they were going into hiding, and the whole story of Anne Frank, the experience that was written in her diary, brought into light. That's technically what the play was all about and what the movie was, and everybody I knew did a great job putting their work into it. So that being said, folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me take one little Sprite of my. Let me take a little. Sip of my Sprite. That's that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have to really talk about in terms of these plays. At least recollecting on all my experiences that I had watching these plays, going through them all, at least from my experience, going to it was called it was downtown at this little theater with the class that I had based off the project, and we were treated to these plays. We went, we saw them, we came back, had some snacks, and had some fun. So basically, that whole day when you went to a play, it was a recess day. I don't really not much more to talk about except before I go, I want to hear your folks, some of your folks' favorite childhood memory storybooks, because stuff like that not only fascinates me, but it also creates a fantastic conversation just with everyone in general. So even when I'm done here, let me know in the comments exactly what your favorite childhood books are. If you have gone to a particular play or musical, whether it's based off a book or in general, let me know down exactly what theaters, plays you went to go see and your experiences based off of them. Your favorite books in general. I'm really curious to hear your folks' thoughts exactly about a lot of this because I'm really tickled by this. And if you have any childhood books, let me know down below also what you possess in your collection. Stuff like this, for example. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to have to do it for my little stream right here. I do thank you all for taking your time, whoever came into the chat, to talk with me face to face about this little memory, about childhood books or books in general and plays. And just hearing your folks mention some great stuff. I do appreciate it dearly, and I give nothing more but the respect for you folks to take the time and join me for a little while to talk about whatever. So you folks have yourselves a nice day. Ciao for now.